Welcome back, you guys, to another video. This one's about SimCity. Are you familiar with SimCity? It's a game from 1991, a little bit ago. I played it on the Super Nintendo. I was really into SimCity. Right now, I'm just trying to conceptualize like how I'm gonna make some kind of diorama from SimCity. I don't know. I think drawing really helps when you're trying to figure these things out. So, Megan, not very helpful, but Megan the cat, not very helpful. But here I'm just pretending to do some math. I can't actually do math. I made a little prototype, and now I'm just gonna lay everything out on some bond paper, this big old graph paper. And so, in SimCity you have your industrial zones, your commercial zones, and your residential zones, so zoning is important. You don't get to control like what shows up in those zones, but you do get to decide what zones go where. And you pretty much have to have a police department like everywhere because Sims are just, they're criminals, man. You gotta watch them. They will just go nuts. So, gotta have a lot of police stations. I'm just drawing this out. This was fun, actually. It kind of felt like I was playing the game, but like if I didn't have a computer. Or a Super Nintendo in this case. And then I decided to color my map. And I actually used this throughout the project as a guide, so it was very useful. So I decided to make this whole thing out of foam core. So this is just foam core that you get at the Dollar Tree or wherever. Stuff that has the paper backing that you can peel off. And as many squares as I cut here, I needed probably twice this many. These are some bamboo skewers. I'm going to use these for smokestacks. So first building I'm firing up is going to be an industrial I don't know, factory, I guess. So I decided to create this little factory. I'm just cutting up the little squares and gluing them down. And it was actually pretty easy because the graphics are so bad. Everything's super pixelated, so this took like no skill. That was maybe the best part. Just jamming those skewers in. And that's gonna get me some cute little smokestacks. Yeah, pretty good. So here I'm just cranking out another industrial building. I just picked the designs that look like they would be fun to make. I used it's like a 3 centimeter by 3 centimeter square for everything. And I just cut from those squares to make sure I was never going over my little board space or whatever you would call it, my pixel space. I don't know what you would call it. If you think of the game as a grid, I was trying to keep within a grid. And I just used, mostly I used a glue gun. Some places I used some wood glue or tacky glue, but here I used toothpicks because I needed smaller stacks. Aw. So here's all my industrial buildings. I think they turned out pretty good. Not bad at all. They kind of look like buildings, right? I think so. Now I gotta move on. What's next? I need a power plant. That's what this guy is. Nuclear power. It's expensive, but it's clean. You don't have to worry about nuclear waste in this game, fortunately. I think maybe in the later games there were meltdowns. I'm not sure. So I'm basically carving out these big giant, I don't know what they call these things, stacks again? I bet they have a fancier name than that. I don't know it. I could have looked it up. I'm not gonna do it now, obviously. It's too late. But yeah, like stacking up foam core and carving it out like this is actually really fun. I thought at first that I was gonna do this from the Pink Panther foam, and actually I can't cut that stuff. It gives me such chills. I can't work with it. Like I couldn't. It was not possible. Foam core is not so bad. Like every once in a while you get like that nails on a chalkboard squeak, but it was okay overall. And I decided my stacks were like too jaggedy, so I thought I would come in here with some modeling paste. This is just watered down modeling paste. And I'm trying to make them a little smoother. I don't know how successful this actually ends up being, but I'm just sanding them with a nail file now. They look a little better, I guess. And there's like walls around this plant. So that's what I'm working on here. And I'm showing you this part. I went through so many blades, so many craft knife blades. Like, I'm showing you this because if you want to cut a lot of styrofoam, for some reason it just burns through blades. Like, I don't understand why. But I swapped my blade and it made this a lot easier. So now I'm just putting in these little walls. I guess you gotta protect your nuclear plant. You gotta keep the people out. So you need some walls, although there's no front gate, so I don't know how effective these walls are. There's some gaps you can see below the walls, and I dropped it. So I'm just using that modeling paste again to kind of fill up those gaps. I don't know why I can't hold things in front of the camera. I'm challenged. There are just some other buildings I made. Some commercial buildings. This guy's a little residential building. I guess it's like an apartment building. It's winter. Another residential. It's little houses. I gotta cut out a tiny little R. This is like the stage before they turn into big apartment complexes or condos or whatever. I don't know. Ooh, do you think I'll cut myself? Ooh. Ooh, this is scary. Nah. I'm a pro. I didn't cut myself that time. Now I gotta make a stadium. I kind of struggled with this one. This one was hard. I don't know what about it broke my brain, but I cut out the bottom. I don't know why I did this. I glue it back in later. I don't know if it's like the bowl shape of it. I eventually work it out, as you'll see. Did some mitering. This made it look stadium-ish. Or maybe like a toilet. I don't know. I think it works out in the end. You guys will be the final judge on whether I've made a toilet. Nah, that's a stadium. Maybe when I paint it, you'll see it. It's shaped kind of funny, so I went back and added some extra foam around that first story so that it would have sides that go straight down rather than cup inward. That helped. It looked mostly like a stadium when I was done. An approximation of a stadium. Now I'm just filling some gaps with tacky glue. I had a lot of gaps. And that one's done. Not terrible. Alright. So this one, I'm gonna make a windmill. This was a fun little structure to make. Again, I just stacked up a bunch of foam and then shaved away what I didn't want. I realized where am I going? Like, come back, come over here. Okay. I realized as I was doing this, in my head, I was kind of making a lighthouse, because I forgot windmills and lighthouses are different things, I guess. So, it's very, like, blocky, but I come back later and round off the sides. Not now. I did it secretly. And I gotta make a spot where the fan part is gonna go. I don't know what you call that. Propeller? I'm sure windmills have propellers. So I just like stuck in a little piece of straw. It's actually polystyrene. And made a little channel for it. And I'm gonna make the fan blades out of this granny grate stuff. I need another little nubby. That's gonna hold that on, go on top, and I stick a wire through it so that I can spin the blade just for fun. This serves no purpose. I just glue it down in the end anyway. And then it's on to making a tornado. I wanted to make a tornado because it looked fun to make. I would actually never play with disasters when I played SimCity, because like you put all this work into building a really cool city, and then if you have disasters, they just wreck it. And it's kind of depressing. But I'm gonna do some gameplay at the end of this video and you'll see, like, it's not gonna go well. That's my little tornado. So now, I primed everything. That took a while. All these little buildings. And then it was time for paint. I used Vallejo paints. I did not want to have to do multiple coats. Vallejo gives you really good coverage. It's, you know, like a good model paint, so. I did one color at a time, so I like did all the dark gray and all the whites at a time. And I think that made it easier. It was less overwhelming that way. It took a long time before these buildings started to look like buildings, though. At this point, I was tired of painting, so I was like, hey, I'll just fire this up in the background. You can actually play this online now. So you just go to a website. It's like a retro gaming website. So I thought, hey, I'll just like fire it up in the background and make my life a little more interesting while I'm painting these things. Sorry, fire department, I just cut all your funding. Ha ha ha. That's the kind of thing you can get away with in a game, but not in real life. So here they are with a lot of grays. And here they are with a lot of browns. And they're looking, you know, okay. Got my little tornado. It works. Nice. Have one undeveloped commercial zone that I wanted to include because it's just fun. And my nuclear power plant needs this little like reactor looking thing. I don't know why you can see that from the sky, but got the little fire department, got my R on that residential. And here I'm working on a hospital. I decided to just use a pen to do these windows because I'm just not that good at painting. And it worked really well, actually. I think it looks pretty sharp, nice. Can get kind of like good corners. I love that hospital. It's so cute. This is like a top residential building. That's like the tallest of the residential buildings. And there they are. Everybody's all painted up. I made a little Bowser. You'll see him later. So now I start to make what is basically a game board. I just marked it all off like a grid, and I'm gonna lay everything out on here. Look at that. This is when it got pretty fun. I was really happy with how this was turning out, but I did feel like I was building like a board game. So I blocked out where all the buildings will be, and now I'm painting some roads. And I also need train tracks, which I did in pencil initially. Tracks were kind of hard to draw and paint. If you have a lot of roads in SimCity, people just clutter them up with traffic and then they complain about traffic. So, you don't actually need that many roads. You just do trains. And then it's funny because, like, your fire department has only train tracks to respond to fires. I'm showing you now. I'm painting the landscaping and I'm just using like a really busted up brush to do this so I get that kind of pixelated look. I did one shade of green and then I went back over it and did another shade, and that's my park ground. And now I'm just cutting out the water. I'm gonna have some water down at the edges. And I want to expose that foam core, the core of the foam core? I don't know. I want to expose that and give it some texture because I think it'll make pretty cool water. Spoiler alert, it does. So now I just scratch it all up. I take my X-Acto kind of sideways and just dig a bunch of channels in and then start chunking away at this foam. This was messy. At some point I realized as I was like picking all of this stuff off, I was like, oh my god, this is flocking. This is flocking. So that was very exciting. I don't know if you guys get excited about these things, but I was very excited. So now I had flocking that I could use to make tiny trees. So I'm just squirting in some nice green paint, nice fake green. Actually, it takes a ton of paint because it's foam. It's like a weird cereal. And I just spread it all out to dry. It was kind of sticky, that's okay. I'm just throwing down some blue, get my water looking watery. I really like the texture. That turned out, I think, really cool. Never mind that mistake that you see there. That didn't happen. I did try to do some dry brushing, but it didn't really work. I got some white on the edges of the banks so that the water would look a little more shallow there. And now I'm doing trees. Again, just toothpicks that I cut off to what seemed like a reasonable height, but I ended up shortening them later. I painted these dark brown also. And I'm just kind of staging where they're gonna go. Getting the holes ready. And now I got another nice new blade. And I'm cutting out where the buildings are gonna go. Well, I don't want the buildings that I built to sit on top of the map. I want them to nest in the map, if that makes sense. You'll see. This is actually probably the most exciting part of the whole project. When I actually got to slot my little buildings into this channel, like, this was so fun. They fit in there pretty well. And they're really light. They just feel kind of like little game tokens. I really feel like I made a board game at this point. I got my lines painted on the streets. Like, it's looking good. I'm liking it a lot. Pretty sweet. Back to my little trees. So that was just styrofoam painted green. And I just kind of like blobbed some glue. I like bunched it up and blobbed some glue in the middle. And the paint actually held it together a bit too. And then I stuck it on there and held it for what felt like a long time for each tree. I haven't sped up, but it took a while. And that was trees. And with my extra flocking, I decided I would throw in some forest down at the edge of my little map here. Just some undeveloped forest. We're getting close to the end here. Now I'm just adding smoke to these smokestacks. And here it is. That's my little city. I got a train. I got my Bowser all set up. That's it. So yeah, this took me quite a while to do. I didn't record making every building. It looks deceptively easy, but this actually did take some time. But it was really fun, and I really enjoyed working with foam core. That was the worst Bowser. I'm a bad sculptor. Yeah, if you ever played SimCity, this is pretty loyal to the game, I think. I got some corrections at the end. I made some mistakes, whatever. You wouldn't know unless you played. Maybe then you wouldn't even notice. We'll see. Alright. So now I'm just playing. I decided to play a little bit. So this is my city. It has it all. It has pollution, it has crime, all the good stuff that you want big cities to have, but they like me. That's what's important. They like me. And I'm gonna drop their taxes, so they're gonna like me even more. Well, this is a pretty decent sized city. It's no metropolis, but I just threw this together and had it going in the background, but things are about to get ugly. I decided it's time for some disasters. All of the disasters. It's basically the apocalypse. Sometimes, you need a challenge. And you're just tired of playing. I was a little tired of playing. I'm like, let's wreck it all. Look at that guy. Bowser, what's he doing here? Uh-oh, shouldn't have cut the fire department budget. The way you fix things in this game, the way you put out fires, you just have to blow up everything in its path. You just bulldoze all around it. Bowser actually does a lot of damage. Just blowing through. As long as he doesn't touch my house or my windmill, those are the only things I care about. My mansion is fine. He's blowing up schools, he's blowing up hospitals, he doesn't care. It was a great game, SimCity. I played it a lot. It was fun. Oh, look at that. One of the worst problems, 49% fire. That's a good one. Here's some corrections for you guys. Just, in case you're some kind of die-hard SimCity person. I know what I did wrong. Maybe I should chill out. Whatever. If you have any other ones, you can leave them in the comments. I might respond.